like to hear about the 1% improvement doctrine?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. So the 1% improvement doctrine, first of all, it's how many of you think you can improve 1%? Right? So everybody can improve 1%. The key about 1% improvement is because everyone can do it, it's just a question of understanding what it is. So first of all, we need to understand what is 1%. So what is 1%? Anybody here in math or an engineer or technical or a scientist?
0.001.
It's 1/100th, right? Some people say it depends, and then you realize that they don't really understand what percent is, because it's 1 out of 100. So it's 1 out of 100 out of anything, right?
Right.
So if we know what 1% is, would you agree that it's a small number?
Yep.
Yes.
So because it's a small number, it's within reach of just about anyone. So that's the first concept. The second concept is something that I want to use a metaphor. So usually I talk about a metaphor outside, running around the park, for example. But let's just take something that's in the room here. So before I do this, I need one person to be exponential and one person to just be an average everyday person.
What do you want us to do?
So I just need, just for this example, just one person will be exponential and one person just to be a regular everyday person.
Define exponential.
An exponential is someone who is extraordinary, out of the ordinary, out of the norm, someone who does out of the ordinary things to create extraordinary results.
I know me, Cindy.
So, and what's your name?
Paul?
Paul.
I can do either.
You can do, oh, you can do either, okay. So, again, I'll ask the question, who would like to be extraordinary, exponential, out of the
I'll
ordinary?
be extraordinary.
Oh, you will, okay. So, do you understand what just happened here? Not yet?
You just did something a little bit out of the ordinary by offering to do something
Yeah.
that you didn't even know what it was.
Exactly. Now, how many of you understand what just took place here? So, are you glad that you put your hand up?
Yeah, I'll volunteer no matter what I do.
Excellent. How many of you recognize that all he really had to do was put up his hand? Right? How difficult is that?
Not hard.
Not
Not
hard.
hard.
But it was just 1%. Who gets it so far? Who right now is a little upset that they didn't put up their hand?
A little bit.
No, just a little bit, you
A little
know.
bit.
Yeah? Who is not upset at all?
I'm not.
Okay. So you're not even in the game. I get that. So what happens, you understand, Paul, that some people are in the game and some people are not in the game.
Yes.
Yeah. And you like to be in the game.
Always.
Yeah. So that's one of the concepts, that if you put up your hand, you're in the game. If you don't put up your hand, you're not in the game. Who gets that metaphor? It's not a value judgment, it just is what it is. Who now is thinking they're a little bit more mad about not putting up their hand than before? Yeah? Who's still not mad and doesn't really care? Okay. So that is about the average that you'd see in society. Who understands that metaphor? It's not a metaphor, it's real life. So now that you understand the context, what we'll do is we'll look at Paul and let's just pick Nick as the everyday person, but of course, you know, right after the session, you'll instantly be exponential. So Paul, you're exponential and Nick is just the everyday guy. So what I need to do is I need to put a contrast. So what we'll do is we'll say Nick is going to run around this table once a day for a week. How many times? Oh, by the way, is your 1% the same as his 1%?
No, because I'm exponential.
Ooh, that's a great answer. We need to give him words of wisdom, right? We should have brought one today. So, but seriously, is your 1% equal to his?
The number is the same. Yes.
Perfect. So it is the same.
Yes.
Because 1 out of 100 is 1 out of 100.
Correct.
Right? So we have to be clear about that. Now, he's a regular everyday guy, and he runs around this table once a day for a week. How many times does he run around the table?
7 times.
7 times. Great. Actually, he's the regular guy. So unfortunately, because I know him, so I keep thinking he's exponential. He actually runs once a week for 7 weeks. How many times does he run around the table?
49.
No, once a
7
week.
times.
7
7.
times, yeah. So he's the normal guy, so he needs to do it once a week. I keep thinking of him as exponential. But you're the exponential guy, and you do it once a day for a week. How many times do you run around the
7.
table? 7 times. So what's really important is the effort that you put in, is it the same effort as his?
Yes.
It is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who doesn't understand so far? We understand that Nick has done it once a week for 7 weeks, and Paul, because he's exponential, he does it once a day for 7 days. They've put in the same amount of effort. Are we all in agreement?
As long as you're considering it 7 months, 7 weeks.
No.
No, he's a week and he's at
They've
7
both done
months.
it 7 times.
Exactly. We're clear, right?
7 is
Right.
7.
7 equals 7. So what's the difference between the two?
Time. Consistency.
What?
Consistency?
No, not consistency, not time. But you're getting close.
Rate.
Someone said frequency.
What?
Rate? Or-
What's that?
Someone said frequency.
Frequency. So it's frequency. So what's the difference? Is Nick does it with a frequency of once a week, and you do it once a day. And the only difference is frequency. Everyone follow so far? Now the difference in frequency is what? What's the difference in frequency?
Time.
It's, what's that?
Time.
No, the difference in frequency.
7.
It's once a week versus once a day. So it's 7,
7.
right? We're all clear? Okay, so here's the kicker, and this is what you want to remember. If you're going to get something that's exponential, it's called leverage. And leverage means you do the least amount to get the maximum outcome. You follow me so far? So the difference between what Paul does and what Nick does is the frequency is 7. But here's some math I want to tell you about. If you compound 1% every week, so you compound anything 1% a week, at the end of the year, you're going to have a 167% increase in an amount of money, for example, that you have in your bank account. Does everybody understand that? It's called compounding interest. Compounded once a week for 52 weeks. Now, if you take the same 1% and you compound it daily, it's 365 days later, it's the same 52 weeks. But what's the result? I'll do the math for you because it's a complicated equation. It's 3,778%. Isn't that amazing? But the only difference is the frequency. So if you increase your frequency by 7, you actually get paid 22 times more for 7 times the frequency. Say it with me? Ka-ching. By the way, you know what ka-ching is?
Yeah.
Ka-ching, and
Money.
it's money, right? It's money in the cash register. So everybody knows what that sound is, but just say ka-ching.
Ka-ching.
Yeah, now take both hands and pump and go ka-ching.
Ka-ching.
Which one sounds and feels like more money?
Second.
Ka-ching, right? When you do it. Okay, so that's another exponential strategy that you can use. So what's the 1% improvement doctrine? The 1% improvement doctrine is if you act like Paul and you're exponential, and all you do is improve 1% a day rather than once a week, what do you get? You get 22 times the payoff. Who'd rather get 22 times the payoff with 7 times the frequency?
Yeah.
Put your hands up. But what's the challenge? Where do you think the challenge is to do that?
Motivation.
Motivation.
Motivation is one.
The time to do it every day.
Well, the time to do it, you're still running around the table, figuratively speaking, metaphorically speaking, once.
The challenge is consistency.
Exactly. It's the discipline to have the consistency. So where's the challenge in having the discipline and the consistency?
Where is the challenge?
Yeah, where's the challenge in having the discipline and consistency? Why doesn't everybody do this?
Well,
Is
Because
the
we're
question.
lazy.
It's because most people don't know what I just told you. How many of you knew what this was all about before I told you? None of you. Nick did, that's why I mistook him for being exponential. So what's the lesson? The lesson is once you know this, you can't unring the bell. So if you adhere to the 1% improvement doctrine, and you improve yourself 1% a day, what you will do is you'll create 3,778% ka-ching results at the end of the year. But you know what? You're human. You're not going to do everything you're supposed to do every single day. So let's say you only do it 1/10. Have you done the math yet? That's still 378% better than when you started off on January 1 of the year. Isn't that amazing? That's what I've been doing my entire adult life. I have 5 university degrees. I live in Australia I'm Canadian but live in Australia. I have 3 passports. I have a Canadian passport, an Australian passport, and a British passport. I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, depending on the time zones, regardless of where I am. It's an amazing lifestyle. Tonight I go home, I go to my hotel room, and I work for a couple hours because my Australian clients are up, because when you guys go to bed, they wake up and vice versa. The amount of results that I can produce is amazing. I retired from the rat race when I was 42 in 2005, so I don't have to keep working to maintain the quality of life I have now. I'm a competitive squash player. I'm actually a professional squash player. My best ranking was number 319 a year and a half ago. So that's like being 318 less than Roger Federer in tennis. Truly, that's exactly what it is. It's a world ranking. I'm the oldest guy on the tour. The next oldest is, I think, is 42. He's been playing since he was 15. Oh, did I forget to tell you, I learned to play squash when I was 36. Oh, did I tell you I've only competed in about 15 tournaments?
What is squash?
Oh, squash? Squash is like tennis inside a room about the size of this room. And you have to hit the ball before it bounces twice, and the ball is practically dead if it doesn't bounce.
Like handball? Off of
It's like handball, like you would see at Venice Beach, except it's got a back wall and you have a racket like a tennis racket.
Okay.
So it's a very, very exacting sport. It's much more demanding than tennis is. And I reached the top 10 Masters ranking within 5 years of playing squash competitively. So the amazing thing is that if anybody would have done what I did with 1% improvement, they could have achieved the same outcomes. And the amazing thing is, this is within the reach of anybody in this room, anybody that you come across. And the only reason I believe that people don't do it is basically 2 reasons. The first one is they don't know. And second is they don't understand the leverage of doing it each and every day. By the way, how do you eat an elephant? No, you should be eating elephants. What's the matter with you people? You should never eat an elephant. What's the matter? But seriously, you eat one bite at a time. If you knew you were going to end up eating an elephant, you'd probably never get started. But you know, 1 bite at a time, you'll get through it. And the amazing thing is with the 1% improvement doctrine, it's exactly that. If you start today, you will get there. And the amazing thing is the results that other people will see around you will absolutely astound you. So how many of you will start adhering to the 1% improvement doctrine? Fantastic. My job here is done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I figured I have a couple more minutes.
You have a